Today we're looking at the structure panel enhancements from Advanced Themer, and that's going to be everything over here in the right side of the screen. If you see here, there's some shortcuts for adding additional elements, and there's the element tags. I can click and move the structure panel around. There's some icons here that we're going to talk about. So if you want to check out what all that stuff is, stick around. I will try and cover that. And I'm just going to jump into it. So if I go back to my Advanced Themer settings, again, we're looking in the builder tweak area at the structure panel. I have everything enabled here at the top. We'll go through all these things, and like this first one enables the quick add, so you can add any other elements that you'd like to commonly use. If you use templates or code a lot, you can come in and add that, and that will add it to the quick add right here. Okay, so I also have the structure panel icons for the element tag and the structure panel, and I've got some tweaks for the context menu. I have everything. I'm going to turn off all the legacy things except hide show element, because all the other things down here are now in the new AT menu right here. Okay. So the hide show element, the only difference of that is that I can quickly show element here. Okay. And just a note on that, you can hide show element also in the new context menu here. For show element, you cannot use this on a class. So if I come to like this class, I don't have hide. You need to disable the class and then hide element. So, all right, that's enough of the hide element there. What else do we have? So we have the structure panel here over on the right, and it looks a little different than the native bricks one, of course. So one thing you'll see here, I have the element tags, and that shows the HTML tag that is associated with the element. So that heading is an H1, and I can toggle these. Okay, I can hide them. I can show just the structure, and this will show the structure as well as allow me to click and change these directly from the structure panel. So if I need to change that to an H2, I don't need to click on it. Go over here, do the drop down. I can do the drop down directly from the structure. So very nice there. The other benefit of something like that is for instance, when you're doing a list, right? So these are just divs. This container is a div, and then there's 3 div cards in there. But I can come in here and click that and do an unordered list and change these to LIs. Just right within the structure panel. And again, it gives me that visual cue that, okay, this is a list, it's an unordered list, and I have the context clues in the structure panel there. Okay, so what else do we see in the structure panel? We see class indicators and different colors here. So let me zoom in here quick. This my card here, you see there's a faint blue border around those 3 as well as those 3. That's indicating that those are all the same class. And you can see I have a class of my card. And if I click on any of these elements, let's click on the heading. And I do have BEM classes on all these. So if I click on the heading, you can see in the structure panel that is also lit up. And that's also lit up, indicating that those are the same class. Okay. And if I opened up the other ones, we would see the same thing. So there's 1, 2, 3 for all the headings. The other thing you'll see in the canvas area here is this blue border indicating that I am selecting the class as well. And if I scroll up a bit, you'll see I'm also selecting the same class. So there's that visual indicator on the blue that I am styling the class. So there's a couple different context clues that give you a warning, an indicator of what class you're on. So what else can I see here? There's the used classes on page. I can see there's 6 instances of this, and I can cycle through this. So if I click on it, it'll take me down to the next one, next one, next one, and then there's the next. And then it'll cycle back up to the top. So there's the first instance, etc. So that's a blue indicator. That's not part of the structure panel. If I go back to my theme settings for Advanced Themer, it's under builder tweaks, classes and styles, and count classes and navigation, as well as highlight classes in the builder, in the canvas itself. So those are sort of interacting with the structure panel. And again, if we come back to our structure panel, we see some other color indicators here. So this red indicator here means it has ID styling. And then this blue indicator means it's on a global class. And there's at least one global class active there. So if we come and click on this CTA wrapper for the buttons, you can see I have ID styling on there. Okay, and that indicates that, you know, if you're styling at the ID level, you have that little red indicator, so you're aware of that. All right. What are the other options here? So I go back to my structure panel. We've got the styles and class indicators. That's what I just described with the blue and red class indicators. We've got the highlight nestable elements, highlight parent elements, and expand children elements. So when I am on an element with parent structure, I see this little blue background on my card, as well as that parent's container, and then that container, and then the section. Those are all indicating that those are the parent-child structure. So again, if I click on this, these are not these are part of this other sibling structure, so they're not highlighted in blue. So I know that they're not part of the. I can see where the parents are very easily. So very helpful to have all these indicators. And this it can get a little complicated. So once you have your structure set up, you can always turn off the element tag. Okay. And again, it's a little more readable, a little more digestible that way. So let's go back to, that's the highlight parent and nestable elements. Oh, and then the expand child structure here is pretty straightforward. You normally have this guy up here that expands all or collapses all. But now you can do it within a structure. So if I do that, and if I can drop that down, and then that will go down, right? So by default, these are gonna collapse when you click this to expand the all the children elements. Okay, so one other thing that I forgot to mention actually is this card here. I'm on the class again, and that blue indicator can get kind of annoying, especially if you're designing the border. So one thing that I wanted to note, that if you do click on the border when you're on the class, it actually disappears while you're styling the border. Okay, so I can change this, and I can see the styling there on that border. And if I click off, I will see the border styling there. I picked the same color, so let me go back and let me just pick, let's pick like that gold so we can see it. And again, when you're on the class, it highlights it with that blue, which I find pretty helpful. And then again, if you style the border, that will disable that blue on the element on the class that you're editing. Okay. So what else do we have? We have the shortcuts for quick add, right? So these have been in Advanced Themer for a while. You can click and it'll add things to your structure. Super helpful. I use this every single day. This is probably my most used feature. One of the additions in 2.5 is these shortcuts. So if I hold Shift, it will pop open those keyboard shortcuts. So S for section, C for container, B for block, D for div, H for heading, A for text, R for rich text, T for link, U for button, I for icon, M for media. So this is super helpful for building out your structures quickly, especially if you kind of have an idea of what it's going to look like. So, I mean, if I wanted to add a new section with new cards, I could do section, and I can do block, and then click on the block, and I can do, you know, heading, text, icon, just like that. Quickly get things added. Oh, I need an image in there. Okay, let me add that. Right, so lets you quick add. The other thing it does is nesting, so let me delete that, and I'll do section, and then block, and then I'll click on the block and hold Shift and press block again, and that will nest another block. And if I do, you know, heading, let's see, I guess that will nest there. But so let me nest in here, heading A, and you know, then at the block level, we can come and add and you know, a div or something like that, and hold, you know, if I come on the block level, hold Shift D and then U, that will nest the two buttons within that div, right? So it doesn't put them on the same level. And the other thing that I've, you know, I think it's a structure panel thing. Yeah, so I can indent and move things out, right? So that indents it so that it's a sibling there. Right click, I can move it, indent again. And I can move that up, move that down. Okay, so super nice thing to have in the structure panel there to quickly get your stuff up to speed and in the right order, right? So quick add is super useful there. What else we got? So that's the shortcuts. We talked about the structure panel indicators. We talked about the element tags. Oh, really quickly, I'll go over the structure helper shortcut. That is this little guy here, and it's also in the new AT menu here, structure helper. And I can select this, And this gives me a whole bunch of different options. And this is the structure panel over here on the right. And as I select things over here, things will pop up to indicate that they have that. So if I do elements with at least one global class, okay, so I know that, right, we talked about my card. Those all have classes, and we remember the CTA wrapper had just ID styling, so it's grayed out, indicating that it's not, doesn't have that global class on it. All right, so this can be helpful for looking at your layout and getting, especially if you have a lot of interactions and conditions and things like that, pseudo classes, data attributes, things like that. You can filter all your stuff really quickly, right? So that is, honestly, I don't use it that much, but it's very helpful when you need it. Okay, so we talked about the moving elements, delete wrappers and move children up, hide element, basic text. So these are just some right-click options that are in the context menu here. So the most common of which is like I can change any text heading or rich text into anything else, right? So I can right-click on the basic text, and I have this convert to either rich text or heading. So that's very useful for sometimes you put a bunch of basic text in somewhere and you think, oh, actually I need to be able to hyperlink that. So let me convert that to rich text. And now I have the option to go in and use the WYSIWYG to do that. And you can also, if you set up some headings or you set up some like accent headings that you actually want to turn into real headings, you can do that by converting that to a heading. And again, you have the element tags to select which heading level you'd like right there. All right, so let me change that back to basic text. You can convert these all back and forth. Very useful. So yeah, let's go back to hide some of these. Okay, so we've talked about deleting wrappers and moving children up. That's what I was missing. So again, sometimes when you're getting your structure of your layout in place, you are maybe adding an extra div here and there that you might need later. There's any number of reasons why you might want to add an extra div. But in case you do that and you say, okay, I'm going to wrap this in a block, and let's say you're doing a query or something like that, and you change your mind, and what you'd like to do is actually delete this block, but keep all the children elements in it. And normally you'd have to drag it out and then delete it. But if you actually just right click on the parent element you'd like to delete, you can delete and move children up, and this will delete that wrapper, and we're left with just the children, and they moved up just one indent in the structure panel. So very helpful when you're trying to wrap and unwrap your divs, and you are realizing you have either one too many or too few. You can, you can delete and move children up, and you can also indent very easily, right? So, if you need to add a block up here, and you could indent that in, and that has indented into that block, okay? And again, you can right click, delete and move children up, just like that. So quickly way to wrap and unwrap divs. So that's the delete wrappers, move children up. We talked about show hide element. Yeah, I think that's that covers a lot of the structure panel. I had to record this twice before because there were some bugs with my installation. I had an old version of Bricks. So I hope that this helps you guys out, and let me know, how are you using this? Are you using this latest version? How fast can you get your elements built with the new shortcuts? What do you think? What do you think? Anyway, let me know. Take care, everyone. Talk to you later.